Greetings everybody, it's Gryphon. How you guys doing now? Welcome to the GGGryphon, which is 7 Let's Do Gaming. Now welcome back to the channel. We are discussing what? We are going to do another discussion of Resident Evil 4 Remake. Now this discussion is different from the previous one we did, where we were literally just talking for 40 minutes and some about my opinions and discussing the trailer and everything like that. Now that we've seen the trailer, I want to discuss at least 5 important things that I hope that Capcom keeps or shows in the Resident Evil 4 remake. So if you guys like these types of videos, I highly suggest you guys stick around for point number 1, because that one actually has some multiple bullet points that I want us to discuss on that one. So if you like these type of videos, definitely stick around. You probably enjoy it. So get your hot pocket, get your ramen noodles, and we'll begin. All right, everybody, as you can see behind me, we have the Resident Evil 4 remake trailer playing in the background for some B-roll purposes, but we're gonna just be here and just talk in front of the camera and just chillax. All right, point number 5, I want them to keep Krauser. So in the trailer, they didn't show anything, you know, hinting that he's in the game or anything like that. It's just a reveal trailer, so I understand they're not gonna show too much. But we should all be able to agree that Krauser was an awesome character, an awesome villain, as you can say, per se. But the one thing we didn't get, now you got to picture yourself in the mindset of you bought this for the Nintendo GameCube back in 2005, if you first played the game when it came out, or on PS2 when it was re-released, right? You literally hear between Leon and Krauser that they have some history together, right? But as the player, we don't know what that history is. We never seen him before. I legit, when I first said, I was like, did we meet him in like Resident Evil 2 somewhere or what? Because that's really the only time you actually saw Leon. That's the first time you saw Leon, and then Resident Evil 4 was the second time you saw Leon. So like to hear Krauser or meet Krauser and them talking like they have some history, like, well, what the heck? Well, if you guys already know, if you guys have played Resident Evil Dark Side Chronicles, that game shows Leon and Krauser's history. Also, let you guys know, I should have put this in the beginning, this discussion is going to be full of spoilers or anything like that about other games and everything, and referencing the other Resident Evil games. So if you have not played a lot of those games, you don't want any spoilers, and I highly suggest you click off the video. But I'm talking to Resident Evil fans in the community who have seen the games, who have played the games, or at least know enough to basically know what I'm talking about. But if you don't care about the spoilers, hey, then stick around too, that'd be cool. So I at least want like a flashback on like how they met or something like that. Now you gotta think, this is a remake. Now, yes, of course, Capcom is going to assume that most of their fans already know about how Krauser and Leon met, right? But then you also gotta think that this is a remake. So what if there's a newcomer coming into here and never played Resident Evil game to save his life, and he plays Resident Evil 4 remake for the first time, and they experience the same thing we experienced? Who the heck is Krauser? All you really gotta do is give like a little flashback of a history, like, hey, Operation Javier, when they're trying to take down the Veronica virus, that's how they met. Leon was under the direct control of the president, or orders of the president, to eradicate that virus once and for all, and freaking Krauser was basically there as his partner. That's how they basically knew each other and actually freaking became friends. Now, how Krauser became a bad guy, just know in Dark Side Chronicles, if you play his story, it shows just how come Krauser is how he is right now. Okay, so you actually get to hear his thoughts and stuff. So I do want them to keep Krauser, and hopefully they show like a little flashback on like how they met or something like that. That'd be cool, mainly for like the newcomers and everything like that. Us as actual fans who played the other games and everything, then we already know that. But I would love to see like a flashback or something like that, because we didn't get that in the original. Now, point number 4. Now this one is important to me. Now also, this is also a list of like importance, like 5 least importance, and then 1 going down to the most important. Now number 4, I want to hear Ada's side of the story. Now in the original Nintendo GameCube, the only thing we got of Ada was a bonus game called Assignment Ada, which obviously canonically didn't happen, and that was basically just like a bonus game. That was nothing had to do with the story or nothing like that, obviously, because it wouldn't make sense. However, in the PS2 re-release, we got Separate Ways, which is literally almost everything that Ada was doing while Leon was doing his due, right? That's when we found out that it was Ada who rung the bell at the church to get the villagers off of Leon. We found out how freaking the journey Ada took through to save Leon from the knife fight from Krauser. Like we actually got to see a lot of her story. We found out that she was the one laying on that rock when Leon was like, hey, this blood is still fresh. Apparently Ada was laying on that table not too long ago before that. Okay, so so Capcom was already like in the makings like of all this, like putting these pieces together when they made the GameCube version. But like when they did all that, it seemed like, okay, they already knew what they were gonna put. It's just maybe the Nintendo GameCube didn't have the capacity to add that bonus game or something like that. I would assume that's the case, maybe, I don't know. But at the same time, we all know how that went. But I want to hear Ada's side of the story in the Resident Evil remake, because we don't know if they're gonna make another bonus round about Ada in the remake, you know what I'm saying? Maybe when Leon was passed out in that cabin for 6 hours before Hunnigan got in contact with him again, after he was infected by the Lost Pockets when the eggs hatched, what was Ada doing those 6 hours? And the reason why I say that is because when Leon woke up, if you remember, if you looked at the left, when you woke up, all you had to do was turn to the left and you were on the table, there was a note there. No, I take it back. It was on the bed. It was on the bed. You pick up a note and it's basically talking about, that letter was literally addressed to Leon. Now, it wasn't stated who wrote that letter. That could have either been Louis Sarah or it could have been Ada. I'm more on the side that that was Ada that wrote that, okay? So, and plus, the reason why I say that is because if you go back into Chief Mendez's room after chapter 1.1-2, when he's choking you and stuff, if you go back to his room, and then Ada freaking saves you. So I'm going to assume Ada already knows that Leon is infected with it. So I want to see more of that. I want to see more of Ada's side of the story. Maybe in the 6 hours, what was she doing? Maybe like how in Resident Evil original, we played as Ada when she was going to chase, Annette, So I want to see maybe like, something like that. That'd be kind of cool. But if you want a bonus game and everything, that'd be cool as well. But I want to see more of Ada's side of the story. Like, what more did she do while Leon was doing this? Because I think Separate Ways was only 5 chapters, I think. So, and then Separate Ways, it turns out freaking Leon didn't actually kill Krauser. In the last chapter, freaking Ada eventually kills him. It's like, because you're fighting him along the rooftop where Leon's having like his last bout before he goes to the president's daughter for the final time. So like, it seems apparently Krauser didn't die that first time. It was Ada who killed him. So, it's kind of odd. So I want a little more clarification on that and hopefully show more of Ada's side of the story in the remake, Point number 3, the Regenerators. I want Capcom, we know that Capcom had taken some enemies out in Resident Evil 2 Remake. They didn't show the spiders. So I'm not gonna hold it or like not be blindsided that like, yo, they're probably going to take some enemies out. Or like not take some enemies out. I'm going to assume they're going to keep Dr. Salvatore in there 100%. But I really hope they keep the Regenerators, because at the same time, the Regenerator was an enemy that should have creeped you out. Like before you even saw him, all you heard was breathing. You know what I'm saying? When you saw him lying on the table, you're probably like, he's going to wake up, and I know he's going to wake up. So, and then you saw like a good chunk of him. So like you hear the breathing, the way he walked, the music that played, everything about that enemy was just straight creepy and straight horror. So I can only imagine what he looks like in the remake, So I really hope they keep the Regenerator. I really do. Of all the enemies they're probably gonna take away or something like that, maybe, I do not want them to take that away. If they put them in there, they're probably gonna put maybe like 1 or 2 in there, but I don't know. I want them to put like multiple Regenerators like they did. So I do want that. Next, now these last 2 is important, okay? These last 2 is very important. Point number 2, the Merchant. Now, we can all agree as Resident Evil fans that the Merchant is definitely iconic in RE4. He has to stay. I want them to keep him. Now, there's no hint that they're taking him out or anything like that. There's no hint of that. I mean, you have the Duke in Resident Evil 8 Village, so I'm pretty sure Resident Evil is fond of having like a merchant type style in the game. But I really do hope they keep the Merchant, okay? Now, the reason why the Merchant is kind of like, I'm not gonna say controversy, but it's kind of like a hard to picture, right? So Leon here, the same person who did Leon's voice in Resident Evil 4 original was the same person who did the Merchant's voice, and I didn't even know that until like a hot little second ago. So when I found that out, I was like, okay, so if they have a different Leon voice, 9 times out of 10 they're gonna have a different voice actor for the Merchant. Now I know as us fans, we want to have that nostalgic feeling of hearing the Merchant saying, stranger, stranger, now that's a weapon, or what are you, boy? And stuff like that. Like, I want to hear that too. As a big Resident Evil 4 fan, I would love to hear that. But at the same time, I have to be a realist, and you have to be a realist here. When they change voice actors, they already have a different voice actor for Leon. It's the same voice actor for Resident Evil 2 Remake, I got you. But they have a different voice actor for Sadler. You can already tell they have a different voice actor for Louis Sarah. They're changing a lot of stuff, and 9 times out of 10 they're changing the voice actors. So we honestly just have to get on board and just deal with that. We're gonna have a different voice actor for the Merchant if he's in the game. I'm more on the side that he is in the game, but I'm also on the side of hey, we're gonna have a different voice actor. We're just gonna have to live with it, okay? And I'm cool with that. But I at least want to. I just hope he delivers. I just hope he delivers. You know what I'm saying? I want to keep the Merchant mysterious. I don't want to know his backstory. Like the Duke, as mysterious as he is, he's having a conversation with everything. Maybe the Merchant will have like a more of a conversation with you instead of welcome or just whatever you're buying in the in his shop. Maybe you actually get to like have a conversation with him. Maybe Leon will ask him like, hey, what happened here in the village? You know, so maybe that way, because the merchant is living in this village doing what he's doing, but it seems like he's not affected by what's going on. He just cares about his bread. You know what I'm saying? So I do hope they keep the homie the merchant. I really do hope they keep him, and I hope the new voice actor delivers. I'm on the side of that there's a new voice actor for him. Like, I have to live with that, you know, I have to be realist about it. But there's two things that could happen. So the merchant, the original voice actor for the merchant, he comes back and he reprises his role in Resident Evil 4, right? There's a downfall to that with the fans though. A lot of fans would be happy because they got that voice actor back. You know what I'm saying? But then, because the voice actor who does the merchant also does Leon Kennedy, a lot of the fans are gonna say, well, if you brought back the voice actor for the merchant, why didn't you just keep the same voice actor for Leon Kennedy? Or if you guys don't know his name, Paul Mercier, if that's how you say, I think it's Mercier, yeah, Paul Mercier, right? They're gonna say, well, why didn't you bring him back for Leon as well? So now at that point, it's like, you can't please everybody, you know what I'm saying? Personally, I will probably be that way too. It's like, well, if you brought the merchant, you could bring Leon's voice back too. But at the same time, I do love Nick Apostolides playing as Leon's voice. I'm cool with it. You know what I'm saying? Especially if this is the remake retelling of these stories and stuff like that, I will gladly keep the same voice actor who did Resident Evil 2 Remake. Of course, it's only been 6 years, you know? So it's like, it's not like this man grew a whole lot. Like, see, he just still don't even have facial hair. We didn't even see Leon with facial hair until Resident Evil 6. You know what I'm saying? So it's only 6 years. So yeah, I'm cool with him having the same freaking voice actor. I'm cool with it. And plus, Nick does a great job as Leon. Let's be real here. So with the merchant, I just hope the new voice actor can deliver, and I really hope the merchant is still in the game and everything. And maybe we'll have like a more of a conversation with the merchant, like we had with Duke in Resident Evil Village. You know, that'd be cool too. And now, like I said, point number 1. Now this is important. Very, very, very important. Like I said, if you stuck around this far, I sincerely appreciate that. Real talk. Point number 1, the most important thing that I hope Capcom like goes more into is Leon's character development from Resident Evil 2 Remake. In the original, you got Resident Evil 2, Leon's this naive police cop, I think maybe 19, 20 years old. I want to say 20 years old during all that stuff, right? Maybe 21, okay? He's doing all that stuff, freaking, he's all about, like, you know, no one's listening to him, all that stuff like that, just naive cop, you know, still brand spanking new, with all that stuff, right? Fast forward to Resident Evil 4, 6 years later, this man is a badass US government agent with these witty one-liners, just confidence out of this world. And when you're playing the game and you play Resident Evil 2, you're probably sitting there thinking, this is not the same Leon Scott Kennedy that we know from Resident Evil 2. At least that's how I was. Like, this is Leon, but this is not the Leon that I played as in Resident Evil 2. Like, this dude is badass. He's different, right? He's built different. And plus, even Resident Evil 2 was the game that I fell in love with Leon anyway. So I'm like, okay, this dude is straight legit. And I still love Leon in Resident Evil 4. I still love it, right? Now, if you guys go into the trailer here, I'm actually gonna play it for you right now.
If I could just forget what happened that night. The pain. Even for a second. This time, it can be different. It has to.
Okay, so hearing that, right? He's saying the pain, right? I'm like, okay, maybe there's some PTSD involved with Leon at this point. Like, anyone who goes through Raccoon City, that type of tragedy, is gonna mess with them mentally, right? So he said he can't forget about that night, right? I'm like, okay, he must be one or two things. He's probably the narrator of Resident Evil 4 Remake, and he's telling us the story as an outside perspective and just telling us the story of what he went through here, or the pain of saving Ashley. We already know how that feels. Or he's talking about Raccoon City. I'm on the sign on he's talking about Raccoon City, right? That makes more sense. So, and now think about it. Everything he went through in Resident Evil 2 Remake, right? He goes in there first, freaking explosions, all that stuff like that. He sees the cop get eaten in the freaking gas station. He goes to the gas station, RPD finally. He sees Elliot trying to help Elliot out of the freaking shutter. Elliot's getting freaking chewed up below half. He pulls out only the top half of Elliot's body. He goes see Marvin. He couldn't save Marvin. Marvin freaking dies. He couldn't, in his mind, Ada's done, so he couldn't save Ada. So it's like he's lost a lot trying his best to get out of Raccoon City, you know what I'm saying? And he's witnessed things that he's witnessed and survived something that most people wouldn't, you know? So to go through that, I guarantee Leon's is fighting some demons still. Like, it's only been 6 years. You're not just gonna mentally heal from all that in 6 years. That's probably like a life permanent thing. So maybe he's going through some stuff, you know what I'm saying? When he said the pain, so I'm like, okay, so maybe we're about to see Leon, more of a human side of Leon, you know what I'm saying? Like, we go through Resident Evil 2 and then Resident Evil 4 and he's just a straight badass secret agent, all that stuff. I'm thinking, I was like, did Raccoon City do anything to this dude? This dude just got freaking tough out of nowhere. What the heck? So I really hope they develop more. They show like more of a human side of Leon in that one. So I want to see more character development out of him, right? Another bullet point with Leon's character development, right? How did he become an agent? Now, that's not me saying not knowing that I know in the Dark Side Chronicles, after Leon, Sherry, and Claire leave, Leon states that Claire went off to find her brother, and Leon and him and Sherry got picked up by U.S. government agents. Why were government agents there during the whole Raccoon City thing? Like, what was the point of that? Like, I'm not getting it. So, like, granted, I'm pretty sure the whole world knew about what was going on, but how did they just randomly get picked up by agents? Like, what happened? Like, was agents like going into Raccoon City or something like that, and they just happened to find them as survivors? Like, it didn't go into that. It just said agents found them, and then him become an agent. So he's in the interrogation room. You hear the dude on the intercom, on the intercom saying, "We have the will to do what we want to you and that girl." And then man, I'm like, okay, is this Umbrella or is this U.S. government agents? The guys are supposed to be basically helping people or something like that. Like, what are you gonna do with Leon and Sherry if they didn't comply? Like, what did they do other than survive Raccoon City? That's like Umbrella like threatening them to join Umbrella or something like that, because now they know the whole story on what happened. You know, like, I'm not getting that. That's kind of weird. And of course he joins them, and then now he is who he is. You know what I'm saying? But I want to see more of that. Like, what happened? You know, they probably won't go do that too much into detail, but you know, it still boggles my mind. Like, okay. Now with that, I want to see some of the training this dude did as an agent. This is another bullet point. Some of the training that he did, you know, naive cop all the way to this government agent, and he can do backflips, run on walls, all this other stuff like that, freaking cartwheels and stuff. I'm like, what the heck? Like, I get the special training, but I want to see like a little something. You know what I'm saying? Now, I know this is supposed to be like a horror game and everything. I'm pretty sure if we see too much of the over-the-top actions, fans are going to be displeased. Now, like I said, this is something that I really hope that they show, but it's a bullet point. If they don't show it, I'll be fine with it. But I want to see some of the training that he did. Like, what did he go through to become who he is? That'd be cool, at least in my opinion. But, you know, I do want to minimize the over-the-top action and see more horror, though. But we can't deny that for Leon to survive this, he had to know some badassery. You know what I'm saying? So, and then lastly, about Leon Kennedy and the character development, is he still gonna be as confident as he was in Resident Evil 4 original? Is he still that confident agent with these witty one-liners, that the corny comedy that we all freaking know, you know? But listen, like, a lot of people say they don't like that. I personally did, because if you're going through whatever Leon's going through, maybe he's like, okay, maybe comedy is a way for him to just fight those demons off. You know what I'm saying? Everyone has a different way of dealing with or cope with PTSD or any tragic history or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? So maybe Leon's way of doing that is being, you know, comedic or having these one-liners and stuff like that. And it also comes off that this man is confident and just, he knows that he can freaking defeat these dudes. Like, he has a mission and he's gonna complete it, you know? So who knows, you know? But I'm pretty sure, like, with some creepy aspect, there's probably gonna be some balance that Capcom is gonna put to make it to, because if Leon is too overconfident, we're probably gonna get overconfident too as the player. Like, okay, Leon can do this, okay, cool, like, let's get it, Leon. In my opinion, I'm looking like, oh crap, Leon's not feeling this. I'm like, okay, I hope we can make through this. As a player in a horror and playing a horror game, you don't want to be super confident. You want to feel scared, and you want to feel like, and plus it's only Leon. You want to feel like you don't want to feel like, but it's a creepy and horror aspect to play a game and knowing that it's just you. You know, it's just you. The character in the game is scared and everything like that. You as a player, like, okay. If you're immersed, you're probably like, okay, well, this dude don't know if he can do it. Well, hopefully I can get him out of here. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm just being, you know, the player and immersing myself in the game. Like, okay, cool. But if Leon is too confident, we're like, oh, we got this. Like, maybe after playing the game maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 times, then yeah, we can be like that. But after, like, first time playing it, I want to experience it, because you only experience this Resident Evil 4 Remake. You only gonna be able to experience this first time playing it one time. So I want to feel helpless in a little bit, not like Ashley helpless, but helpless to a point where it's like, oh boy, like scared helpless, you know what I'm saying? But you know, we'll see. Maybe I probably won't feel that way because I'm playing as Leon Scott Kennedy, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. But those are the 5 things that I at least will hopefully Capcom will either show or keep, or maybe indulge a little bit more, give a little bit more details, a little more feedback, you know. But since this is the same development team that made Resident Evil 2 Remake, I have high hopes for it. I should be on the caution of like, hey, this game can still disappoint me and everything, because Resident Evil 3 Remake did, I'm not gonna lie, even though I still enjoyed the game, but they could have done a lot more. But I really hope with Resident Evil 4, a lot of people, and Capcom can't mess this up. So I hope the team that made Resident Evil 2 Remake, does get on this one, because I think this is actually one of their highest selling Resident Evil games ever to date. I think it's I think it still is. I don't know, but it's the only Resident Evil game that I see that keeps getting reported to the next gen consoles, all that stuff like that. So I really hope they take this one serious. You know, hey, they got plenty of time, as you guys can see. I really hope you guys can understand where I'm coming from with this. This is just my opinions, my point of views. If you guys have different opinions and what you want to see, hey, leave them in the comments. I'm all about enjoying a good conversation with the Resident Evil community. Like, this is one of the least toxic gaming communities, at least that I know. And like, you can tell as us Resident Evil fans, we want to see a lot. We want to, like, we see the potential this game has just from seeing the reveal, you know. But there's a lot of people, of course, that are skeptical, and I understand of them being skeptical. And I think because Resident Evil 4 is one of my favorite Resident Evils to date, I think that's why I'm super excited. But I also got to be a realist, and I know you guys are being realists out there too. We can be disappointed, or we can be incredibly excited. It just depends on what Capcom wants to do. But it's Capcom. They've done great things with Resident Evil, and I hope they do great things with this one. And like I said in the previous gameplay, I hope this remake kicks off a Code Veronica remake. At least I hope for that. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you dab up that like button, subscribe to your own leisure to join the Griff Gang. This is Griffin signing off. My name is Silent Home Professionals. I love you guys. I'll see you guys in my next video. Take care.